So you can ask your questions in the Q&A section. Someone from our side may answer it on the call or on the chat text over the text. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Like we'll send the recording after the class. But generally, like what happens is like 1.5 hours class, right? So not many people will like again go through the recording. So try to focus more on the class. Obviously, we will share the recording also. But during the live class, when it's like more interactive, you can be more focused. And obviously, you can like see back the recording also. We will be sharing it after the class. Yeah, we'll be providing certificates after the end of this course. So this course will take 3 to 4 classes. That's what we think. Okay. Um, so I think we can start the thing. Yeah. So hi guys, I'm Saino. I'm the CTO of Burst. So I have been working with Vedantu before this, and mostly in edtech companies. And then yeah, like so I'll be your main instructor during the live classes. Happy to be here and excited to take HTML and CSS for you guys. Yeah. So I'm audible, right? So everyone can hear me, right? Host Sudeep, can is my voice clear?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sharing my screen. Like we will go through a list of slides, right? So yeah. So we'll start off with basic introduction to web development. Okay. So obviously our course is about the basics of web development, like where we in this particular course we'll be covering HTML and CSS, right? So like we'll get started with the basics of web development, right? So before that, like an overall picture of like what software development is, right? So we generally explain concepts in our course using some analogies or metaphors, right? So so what is an analogy? Analogy is something like we explain a complex concepts with a concept which you already know, right? With something simpler which you already know, and we try to link those things, right? So, and this is an example, like an analogy for software development, right? So software development is like taking a test with your classmates. Okay, so this test is like a open book test. So basically you can take your textbooks to the exams, right? That is the open book, and also like you can copy from your friends. So whoever your friend sitting next to you or in the same test as you, like you can copy from them. So here what we mean by books is the official documentation. Let's say we go through CSS, right, and like we go through HTML. So these have their documentations. On like if you take any framework like React, they have their official documentation. So the books which we refer here are like the official documentation given, and the classmates are basically who have gone through the official documentation and they have made their own versions of answers for the questions, right? So if you Google stuff, you will find some answers on Stack Overflow. Someone must have written a blog about some concept. Someone might have made a YouTube video about the concepts, right? So these are the classmates which are also like attending the same exam as the software development. So you can also refer to their kind of like answers, or you can refer to the official documentation given by the frameworks, right? You choose what is the best answers from both these books and your classmates, and finally you write and complete all the questions in your exam, right? So this is a meme like where like a developer can refer to any of these things, right? So it's not a restricted thing that you should remember stuff. So most of the times we just know how to solve the problem. For the syntax we refer to the documentation, or like we Google stuff, right? So most of the time we'll be like searching for the syntax and like searching for the answers for the problems online, and then like we solve them. So another interesting development which has happened recently is like generative AI tools like ChatGPT. I'm sure like most of you must already know what ChatGPT is. Um, so the thing is like initially when you're trying to learn to code, right? So you avoid using things like ChatGPT. You use it to a minimum extent, right? So what happens in ChatGPT is when you ask a question, it either gives the right answer. In that case, like you won't learn that much, or it keeps giving wrong answers for a particular question. So in both the cases you won't learn. Unlike ChatGPT, let's say you Google some question and you find an answer, you will have 3 4 different versions of the answer. You will read it in some blog, you will see some video, or you will learn from a Stack Overflow question, right answer. So if you learn from multiple different resources, right, the concept will be like very well understood in your when you're trying to learn. So try to avoid using ChatGPT initially when you are learning, right? So how this course will work? Okay, so obviously we'll have live classes like this happening like for the next 3 4 days till we complete the HTML and CSS. And then like so when we are doing the live classes, don't try to install or code on your laptop. uh, Try to listen to the classes. Okay, we keep it interesting, like with lot of analogies and exciting metaphors. And so don't try to like code along right now. Okay, uh, try to listen and like grasp most of the things during the live classes. So at the end of the each class we will be sharing some recordings and the slides which we are going through, and also we will have some assignments and projects which we will share with you. Right. So you have to go through the recordings and slides, right? And like for the reference, and complete the assignments and projects before the next class. Right. So how much ever you listen to the class, until you do it, you won't like learn things. Uh, right. So you have to solve problems. You have to build projects. Obviously, we'll be there to guide you. So, but you have to like Google stuff on your own, or like refer to the recordings and slides, and try to complete the project. This is where the true learning happens. The struggle which you have for like completing a assignment and project, that struggle is what learning is. So don't try to don't miss out on completing assignments and projects which we give out, right? And the initially like when you're trying to learn to code, right? So what happens is you'll be stuck with a lot of doubts, and you'll be like stuck with bugs. Sometimes even like you won't know what the error is. So this is where the major roadblock happens, right? Many of the students stop working past that. So this is another thing where like you push past this of thing of getting stuck in bugs. Once you push past this wall, you will have a much easier learning curve, right? Initially this push has to happen of like uh, going again and like solving the bugs and like clarifying all the doubts, right? So what happens is like we have given a Google form. This slide will be shared, and this form link will also be shared, right? So you can post your questions here, and each one will have each 15 of you guys will have a particular mentor. So that particular mentor will reply to your bugs and will solve your bugs within 24 hours. Okay, so you can, if you have any, if you're stuck anywhere, or if you have any doubts in concepts, or if you're stuck with any bugs, you can post it in the Google form, and your respective mentor will get it cleared. Okay, so next, like we'll keep our coding environment simple, right? So right now we need only like Google Chrome and VS Code. Again, you don't have to install it right away, right? If you already have, then it's fine. Also, you won't use it when the live class is happening. But after the live class is done, you can like open these links and like install Google Chrome and Visual Studio Code. Uh, Sudeep, one of the mentors, right? So he will demonstrate to you how to install VS Code and Google Chrome here. And so this session is recorded. So once the session is done, we'll share the recording. So you can also walk through how to install Google Chrome and VS Code, right? So I'll stop sharing my screen now. Sudeep, you can share your screen and install like VS Code and Google Chrome.
Yeah. Hi guys. So to install Google Chrome first, so once you go to the link given, this page will be there. Okay. So once you click on the download here button, okay, there is a download here button. If you click on this, you will get an option of accept and install. You have to click on this, and a Google Chrome setup thing will be downloaded. Okay. So you have to open the file and select the admin permission. Give the admin permission as yes. So while the Chrome is installing, similar to the VS Code, you will have options for all your systems. There will be Windows, Ubuntu, and Mac. So the Chrome is installed now. So you can see the Chrome is installed. Okay. So this is it. Uh, you can just open a. You can just add your account here. Okay. So you have to sign in into the account, and you can just put your email and password. So you can go to forgot password or even create a new account, whatever you like, and it will be just a browser. So once you log in, you will see the browser is here. You can open a new tab, and you can, it is just a browser. So most of you I think have Google Chrome. If you don't have, you can install this way. Now coming to the VS Code, you will get option for your operating system, Windows, Debian, and Mac. So I have chosen the Windows option, and once you choose any option, this file will be downloaded, the VS Code user setup. uh, Once you open the file, you have to accept the agreement and just go to the next, and you have to install it. Okay. So just tick all the options and also created extra Python maybe, and just go for install. Just finish. So this is the Visual Studio Code. Something like this will appear in your screen. Then you have to go to this extension section, and you find for this live server. Okay, so this is the extension section, and here you will find something called live server. You have to install it. There will be a button for install. You can install it. So I think this is pretty much what you need, the development environment.
Yeah, thanks, Sudeep. So let me continue. So like we will share this links with you. Okay, once the class is done. So that time you can install the using these links. Clicking on these links, you can install Google Chrome and Visual Studio Code. And as Sudeep told, like you have to install the live server extension and also enable autosave. Right. So once you have VS Code, once you have VS Code, this is the extension section, and here you can search for live server. We will see what is live server in a while. So this is the thing actually I've already installed in my VS Code. But when you click, you will have some install button like this. So if you click on install, it will install the live server extension. So this will be using a lot in development. This is one thing. And the second is you have to click on file and click on autosave. So every time when you type some code, you don't have to press control S, right, to save. You can click once the autosave is enabled, it will automatically save, and live server also makes our life easier. So these two are like really essential to like start off with VS Code. We'll see what is VS Code in detail in the upcoming section, right? So I'm not going to like go into the extreme details of like how internet works, right? So whatever is required for us to like finish off this course, we will be like going through that, right? So so internet is basically a set of computers which are connected. Okay, just the connection of computers is not internet. Also the set of rules in which you can transfer data between the computers, right? It's both. It's the interconnection of computers and also the rules which govern the set data transfer between the computers, right? So in with our particular course, we will be going through what is a client and what is a domain name and what is an IP address. Okay, so client is just a web browser. We saw what is Google Chrome, right? So Google Chrome is a client for a web application. And here you can see like the domain name is google.com. The domain name is google.com. So the domain name is google.com. And once you do this domain name, once you like enter this domain name here, essentially what we are doing is we are like pointing to an IP address. We are calling an IP address. Okay, so this is a server's IP address, right? So if you see a postcard, right? So postcard will have from address and to address, right? So from address is your address, right? So here the from address is your computer's IP address. Now, like every computer in a network will have an IP address. IP address is similar to your home address. You can imagine it as it's similar to your home address, and the server IP address is some other computer which is there, which is connected to the internet. So that server's IP address is what we are essentially calling when we are giving google.com. So when we are giving google.com, we are calling for an IP address. Or IP address is an address of a computer over the internet, right? So this is about client. Client is your web browser. Domain name is the google.com, and IP address is the address of a computer the net on a network. Right. So what essentially happens is, like, when you are requesting for a website, you are requesting for the IP address as we saw. So this is called a request. When you are like typing google.com, you are requesting for google.com, and google.com is essentially an IP address. IP address is a server, right? So IP address of a server. This is again like a computer over the internet. Okay. So what happens is, once this computer or the server receives the request, what it does is it responds. It responds with a set of files, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript file mostly. And once these files go, like they go to the web browser, and the web browser opens these files, and you can start interacting with your web application. So this is what happens at the surface level, right? We are not going too much into detail of like how exactly this happens, but this is enough for like most of our use cases, like to understand what is a client, what is a server, what is a request, and what is a response. I hope like I'm clear. So once the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files are basically like, you can files are like, these are the file extensions. So like how .txt file or Excel file, right? So these are the extensions of the files, and browser loads these files, and you can see the website of Google here. Right. So this is some basic introduction of like what happens over internet, and how you get data over the internet. So once this is done, let's move on to HTML, right? So again, like an analogy to explain HTML and CSS. So if you take take the analogy of a wall, HTML is basically like bricks and cement, just the bare structure of the wall. It's just bricks and cement, right? And CSS, what is CSS is? CSS is basically the design or like the alignment of things which are on top of the wall. So here the bare wall is the HTML, the bare structure, and on top of it you have given some paint, and like you have put some designs here, right? So this is the wall plus the design and like the alignment of the things on the wall. So this is HTML, and this is HTML plus CSS. Okay, so again, this is a repeated style from the previous slide, like how the course works. Okay, I'm sure like nobody's trying to like do anything on your laptop, like try to listen to the class now, and we'll be sharing all the resources post the class, and you can try it. And obviously, if you have doubts, you can ask us through this Google form. Okay, so now since we have VS Code installed, let's start with our first HTML site. So whenever you are building projects, right? So what you can do is you can have a repository folders in your desktop. And once you have the folder, you have to create another folder inside this first HTML site inside the repos folder, and open the folder in VS Code. Okay, and create an index.html file, and open this index.html file in Drive server. Okay, now I'll demonstrate how this happens. So I have my repos folder in my documents. In my documents, I have repos folder. You can either have it in documents, downloads, or desktop. Desktop is the best place to have the repos folder because it's easier to find. And in that, you can create another folder like my first HTML site. Here I'm using this folder called class demo, but you can name it anything. Now this folder I've created. Like you can do some right click and create a folder in your Windows, or if you're using Mac. So you can create a folder called my first HTML site. And once that is done, you can come back to VS Code. And in VS Code, you have to click on File, and you have to click on Open Folder. Okay, so now my repos folder is in Documents, and I'm going there, and I'm clicking on my folder which I want to work on. Now my VS Code is open. Okay, so let me create my first HTML slide. So here my folder is open. Here I have something called new file. Okay, so I'm clicking on this new file. I have to type the name of the file. So I'm giving index .html. Okay, clicking on enter. So my index.html file is open here. Okay, so this is how you have to create a folder and like open the folder in VS Code. VS Code is where we write the code for our applications, right? And once it is opened, once the necessary folder is open, we have to create an index.html file, right? So now this index.html file, on this index.html file, you have to right click and open with live server. Okay, so I'm clicking here. So my live server is opened at this thing. Okay, so basically what it's happening is my index.html file is running in my browser here. Okay, so soon you will understand like how it works at the backend and all, right? So we'll keep going. So till these are the steps which I have demonstrated to you. You can also try it after the class. Okay. So what is this 127.0.0.1 dot 5500 slash index.html? This is what my browser, this search address looks like. Okay. So let's understand what is this. So first is HTTP. So HTTP is a set of rules to send data or files over the internet. Okay. So here we have, if you take an example, here we have a post envelope, and in an envelope you have to write from address to address and like click and put a stamp, right? Only then the postal office can like send it to the right address and the right person can receive it. So giving a from address and to address and sticking the stamp, right, the proper stamp, these are the set of rules to send post or postal letters through the normal, like the physical post offices, right? So these are the rules which you have to follow. Similarly, internet is a interconnected set of computers, so you need a set of rules to like transfer data between them. So these set of rules are called HTTP rules. Okay, so that is the HTTP part. So it's the set of rules. Okay, and this 127.0.0.1. Okay, so this is an IP address. Okay, this is how an IP address will look like. And whenever like you write 127.0.0.1, it means you are connecting to your own computer. You are connecting to your local IP address, right? So if you take an example, let's say you create you make a post letter, and from address is this, and to address is same as from address. If you see this to address is same as from address, so basically what you are doing is you are sending data to your own home, your own house. This is what this 127.0.0.1 means you are trying to find something within your own computer. Okay, so this is my own IP address, local IP address. If you use 127.0.0.1, it will connect to your own computer. Okay, it will try to find the files or like find data within your own computer. So it essentially means the from address and to address are same. You are sending it to your own home. Okay, so that's what 127.0.0.1 means. Now, let's say this is my home. This is 127.0.0.1. That is the address. So within my home, I will have multiple rooms. So each room, I'm having some room number. So this room is 5173. This is my house. This room is 5173. This room is 8000. This room is 6000. This is 5500. Okay, so I have lot of rooms in my home. Now, this is the room number actually. So this is your own house. Okay, and this is the room number inside your house. Okay, so from this room number, you are fetching this index.html. So inside the 5500 room number, there is a file called index.html. Okay, so you are fetching that file from this room 5500. So this is what this means. HTTP 127.0.0.1, your own home address, your own IP address. Inside that, there are multiple rooms. We have to specify which room, and within that room, you want which file from that room. Okay, so this is what essentially this means. Okay. So my own computer is serving my index.html file, which I'm yet to create. I've not done anything here, which I'm yet to create. So we'll be creating some HTML tags. Okay. So these are the basic set of HTML tags which we'll be going through. Doc type HTML, that means the document type is HTML. Okay. And this is the main HTML tag with these two brackets and HTML here, and the corresponding closing tag is here. Okay. And we have some head tag, and the closing head tag is here. So what happens in head tag is it's just the extra information which we give about a website. This whatever is inside the head tag will not go inside the browser. It will be like an extra additional information. If you see, for example, the title tag, if you give a title right here, I've given the title as title for the tab. So this particular text will go on the tab of the browser, tab of each browser, whichever you are working on, right? And then this meta tag here is viewport. So this means like you can like have some responsive behavior to your websites. We will see what is responsive behavior in our CSS section, but this is kind of like makes our website like basic responsiveness it gives. Responsiveness is like basically like what happens is like you will be creating websites for let's say you are creating websites, you will be creating websites for desktop or laptop, but when someone opens the same link in mobile, it will look different. It look not properly aligned, right? So this is like some basic responsiveness which you can add. Obviously there are a lot of concepts for responsiveness which we'll see in CSS, but this gives some basic responsiveness to the site which you are building. And within that we have a body tag, and body tag is what goes inside the web, inside the main part of the browser. Okay, so here I'm giving h1 tag, it's an heading tag, and within that I have something called heading. Okay, so now I'll demonstrate these tags in my VS Code. I think there is some lag in the thing, so I'm turning off my camera for better speed. Okay, so here I have index.html. Okay, so first I have to give the doc type HTML. Okay, so why we use VS Code is it auto completes. There are a lot of benefits of using a code editor. Basically, once you start typing, it automatically like gives suggestions, and from there like you can complete things. And once you give this, we have to give an HTML tag. So I'm writing HTML. So here it is there. So if I click on this, I'll get both the opening and the closing tag. So all your files have to be inside this HTML tags. Okay. Now I'm in the second line. What I have to do is to format code properly, I can give a tab. So it gives an extra some space so that like when we are reading the code, it will be easier to understand. Okay. So this is the first tag, HTML tag, which we have given. Next is the head tag. So I'm giving head. So instead of clicking on head, it's already selected. I can click on tab. So my thing auto completes. So head is done. So within that, we had a tab called meta tab, META. So within the meta tab, we had a viewport this thing. So we will see what are the other tags, but right now, like you can just like keep listening to the thing. So we are giving viewport thing. So this gives some basic responsiveness. So you are creating for a laptop. When you open the site in mobile, it should look properly aligned and like properly formatted. So this gives the basic formatting to our website. And the next tag inside head is called title. So once I start typing, I get this suggestion. I can click on tab, and this title is there. Okay. Now I'll give this as title for the tab. So once I've given this, what happens now is if I go to the website, I have if you see, like I have this title for the tab. So whatever I typed here, I'm getting it here. Okay. So that's about the head. Now, after the head tag is done, you have to create a body tag. So within the body tag, we had one thing called heading. So there are, if you see how many headings are there, H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, right? So each heading will have some specific size. Right now, for simplicity, we'll just take H1. So within the H1 tag, we are giving some text called heading 1. Okay, now if we see our browser, we are having this heading 1. So here multiple things are working in place, which we have done the setup for. So first is we have enabled autosave. So automatically it saves all the things. As we start typing, your VS Code will save things. Okay, and as the things are saving here in your VS Code, we are running it in our live server. If you initially you remember, like we right clicked this index.html file and we clicked on open with live server. So what happens is automatically this is getting saved with autosave, and this file is being run automatically by your computer because of the live server. Otherwise, if you don't have these two enabled, right, and whenever you type something here, you have to do Control S to save, and every time you have to go to the browser and refresh the browser. So these two things are automatically taken care of. It makes our life easier to like work. So that is the benefits of having autosave and this live server extension. Okay, so coming back to our slides. So these are the basic HTML tags, right? So we will go through it one by one. First, I'll explain it here, then I'll explain it in my VS Code. We have H1, H2, and a P tag. So we had H1 to H6, right? So if you see the difference between H1 and H2 is that the size is little bit smaller. So as you keep going, the size decreases from H1 to H6. And we have something called as a paragraph tag. This is normal text. Okay. Within that, after the paragraph tag, we have something like called a div. Div is basically a container. Container is what, like you can imagine like a container, like some box or something. Within that box, you can have multiple other elements. Okay. So within that div, I have another P tag. P tag is the paragraph tag. Okay. So this is the P tag, which is inside the container. I'll demonstrate again everything again in VS Code. I'm just explaining through my slides. I'll demonstrate it again through in my VS Code. And once the P tag is there, like I've given a UL tag. UL means unordered list. Okay, so this is the opening tag of unordered list. This is the closing tag, and I have 3 li tags. So each list item, if you see, each list item is within an li tag. This is the opening li tag, and this is the closing li tag, and within that we have to give a text. Okay, now I am closing this box, this container, the closing part of div. Okay, now the next tag is called anchor tag. Okay, anchor tag is given like this syntax: a space href. Okay, and within that we have to give some file name. This I will demonstrate what it is. Basically, what is this is, if you click on this, you will open some other file or like some other thing you can open. So basically, you are anchoring your some other file here. Okay, so basically it's a link. So once you click on this, you will be opening some other link or some other website here. Okay, then I'm having another div container, div box. Within that I have a P tag, and within that I have some image tag. Okay, so image tag is img, and src is a property, like what is the image link here. You can paste the image link here, and we will see what is alt tag when I'm like demonstrating. Okay, so don't worry about the syntax and all. I'll demonstrate everything. So once you practice also, you will be like understanding these things pretty quickly, right? These are like extremely simple things, the basics of HTML. Okay, so let me demonstrate whatever we had built it there. Okay, so we have the tags here, right? So the h1 tag I've given it here. Okay, now I'll demonstrate h2 tag also. So that is heading 2. Okay. Mm, this is my browser, so it is showing heading 2. Okay, now I'll show my p tag. So this is a paragraph tag. Okay, so the paragraph tag is here. Now within this, I have a div container. I was having a div container. So div is basically you are wrapping elements inside another set of elements. Okay, so as you keep doing it, we will know what is the use case of div. For now, like you can just remember there is something called as a div, which is like a container which can contain other elements. Okay, so within that we had a list. So list, you are giving an unordered list. Okay, so this UL means you are initializing an unordered list, and within that you can have multiple list items. So I have one list item called list item 1. For the second list item, I'll just copy paste it. List item 2. So what will the output be? The output will have 2 list items. Okay, so this is the output. I have a list, unordered list with 2 list items. Okay, I hope I'm clear. Mm, so after this, we were talking about a anchor tag. Okay, so anchor tag, you have to give a and give a tab. Okay, so you are having href here. Okay, this is a link. So basically anchor tag is a link. It can link to another website or it can link to another page here. We will see like what is that in a while. Okay, so right now what I'll do is I'll just uh, link this to google.com. So within this href, I'm pasting https://www.google.com. Okay, now the text will show as link. Okay, if you see the website, the text is showing as link. The text here which we have given inside the anchor tag is link, and it should link to google.com. Okay, so if I click on this, it should take me to google.com. Okay, now I'll go back. Okay, after the anchor tag, what are the tags we saw? We saw an image tag, and image was inside a div. So I'll give div, and within the div, either I can give div or like I can skip div. Okay, div is just a container. Okay, so I have an image tag here. img, I'm clicking on tab. Okay, so I have to give some source here. So I'll go to Google and I'll search for some image. Okay. Okay. Let's say I want to use this image. So I right click on it. I take the image address. I copy the image address. I go here and I put it in the source. Okay. So now what happens in the output is I will have this image here in my browser. Okay. So the image is lit on the bigger side. It is fine. So this is how you have to put the image, right? So once the image is done, we'll see what is alt. Now, let's say I have some mistake with the for some reason the image is not loading. So for example, here instead of HTTPS CDN, I'm removing the C. Okay. What happens is I won't have the image. Okay. So what I can do is I can give some alternate text. I'll give some text called image, tree image. So what happens is, for some reason, if the image is not able to load, this alt text will be shown. I'll show you the output. So I have given the link wrong, so the image didn't load. Okay, so the alternate text which I have given, called tree image, has come here. So this is like a safety property, right? The image was not able to load, so this alternate text has come in instead of the image. Okay, so I'll just correct my image. To correct my image, I'm again having the image in my browser. Okay, so we have covered the basic tags for now. Okay, so what I'll do is, before continuing this, I'll take a break, and like I'll have a we can have some questions if you guys have till now. Like overall, if you have any questions, like you can ask in the Q&A. Okay, so if there are no questions, then I'll continue with the remaining tags. Okay, so the remaining thing is, so basically I have a link.html given here. So what that means is, I can create another HTML file here. Okay, so I'll create another HTML file called link.html. Okay, okay. So I'll give some HTML inside this and some head. Okay, inside head I'll give some title. This is called the linked file, and within the head, after the head I'll give a body, and I'll give a p tag called this is linked file. Now I have two files. One is the index.html file and the second one is link.html. Now what I can do is, instead of linking my site to google.com, I'll just link it to link.html. Okay, so whenever I click on the link on my browser, it will open link.html file. This file is also in my local only, inside my project. Okay, so to demonstrate that, we have my index.html file here. Okay, and this is the link. So if I click on link, you see I have opened link.html file. So link.html file has some p tag called this is linked file. Okay, so this is having some p tag called this is linked file. Now let's continue. There are few other tags which are left, so we will finish that, and then yeah, we can then we can proceed. So we have something called input and button, which we are yet to finish. Okay, and so let's go through them now. Input tag is basically, this is the input. Okay, so you can give some username, password. So these are actually the input tags of the HTML file. So input is the tag, and type is a property. So this will hold some text, and this placeholder is a text which will be shown before you type anything. I will demonstrate this when I'm like doing it in my VS Code. And the next one is input, type, and value. Okay, there is a difference between placeholder and value. Okay, this I'll demonstrate now. If I explain, like you won't understand, so I'll demonstrate in my VS Code. But these two are different properties. These two are same properties. So basically this input is a text input, and this third input is a password type. If we give type password, right, so whenever you type something on it, you won't get whatever, you won't see what we are able to type. So that's what happens when you type password. So you will get some dot 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 dot, and post that some placeholder we have given here. And after that we have a button called sign in. Okay. And this is some interesting thing which is happening here. We have an anchor tag. We have an A tag which is linking to index.html. Okay. So within that we have a button called home. So we have an index.html. Within that we have a button called home. So what happens is if we click on home, it will again go back to index.html. Okay, so these are the tags. I'll demonstrate it in my VS Code so that like you will understand it better. So I'll demonstrate all these things in my linked file. Okay, so here I have a input tag, input type text, and I have a placeholder called, let's say I'll put username. Okay, next input type text. Instead of placeholder, I'll give some value as name. Okay, next input, instead of type text, I'll give password, and I'll have a placeholder called enter your password. So let's see what all these three tags are showing as output. So the first one is input type text and placeholder is username. Okay, so input, okay, okay. So if you see input type text and placeholder username, so you can see the placeholder is username. So basically it's just a text which is there before we type. So you can see my cursor blinking. So the placeholder is this username. If I start typing something, okay, the placeholder vanishes. So this is what a placeholder is. Okay, so my input is this, and it will contain text. That is what this means. This property means, and the placeholder is username. So I can type anything. The placeholder will go off. Now, if you see the second property, instead of placeholder, I've given value as name. Okay, so this value is not a placeholder. It's an actual text inside the input. If I can delete it, okay. I cannot delete the placeholder. I can just type and the placeholder will vanish. Okay, here the value was already given. Some default value was given that is called name. Okay, if I refresh it, again, I'll have the name. Okay, so this is a value which are already given. Okay, the third one is input type password and a placeholder called enter your password. So we are seeing the placeholder. Now, since this is a type called password, if I start typing anything, I won't be able to see. I'll just see dot 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 as that's how the password is supposed to be. Okay. Now, once this is done, I'll give a button called sign in. Okay, this is simple. Button tag, closing tag, and inside that text, I have a sign in. So we got a button. Okay. Now, what another interesting thing we did is we first created an anchor tag. Inside the anchor tag, I gave index.html. Okay. I'll give go back to index.html. So this is what my text will show. Go back to index.html. Now, what happens if I click on this? If I click on go back to index.html, I am coming back to index.html. Okay. If I click on link, I'll go to link.html. Okay. So what happens is what you can do, something interesting you can do is you can delete this text. Instead of this text, you can give some button inside the anchor tag. So instead of the normal text, I can give a button. Okay. I'll go back. So in my output, I will have a button called go back. If I click on go back, it will go to index.html. If I click on link, it will come to link.html. So this is how you link different different HTML files within your project. Okay. So these are about the tags. Okay. So once these tags are done, this is again a concept which will be useful later. Okay. So every tag can be seen as a element in a tree. So if you see, body tag is the topmost element, and within that it will have multiple children elements. Okay, here within the body tag we have h1, h2, p tag, and div. H1, h2, p, and div. And within this div, I have a p tag and a ul tag. Within this div, I have a p tag and a ul tag. And within the ul tag, the unordered list, I have three li tags. Li, right? So this is a way of organizing HTML tags, tree of elements. This is not useful right now. Why we are learning this? Uh, we will see this in later sections. Okay, but this is a way the things are organized in the browser. Okay, so this is the sample project which is there. Okay, which we did actually. Okay, this is deployed here. You can also check this. Click on this link and check and play around and try to recreate. Okay, and the code for both the files, index.html and link.html, is given here for you to go through it later. Okay, so basically everything whatever we did is there, and obviously the recording is also happening, so you will have what I've explained, and also the tags which goes inside index and link.html. Okay, so you can practice this, and once that is done, what you can do is you can try to complete this exercise project and come. Okay, so what happens in this exercise project is students sign in, this some heading is there, and some value called John, and some password is there. If I click on sign in, I'm opening this. This is an h1 tag. This is something called logout. I think this is an anchor tag. Okay, so once you click on logout, it should go to index.html. And once I click here, it should come to courses.html. And within that, we have multiple courses. Each one is a list and a link. Okay, you have to figure out how to do this. It's a kind of like a task. Okay, it's not a very difficult task. If you go through the things before, you will eventually figure this how to do this. Okay, so each one is like a separate page. So we have a separate course page for JavaScript. If we go back to courses, we have a separate course page for Node.js. Okay, then back all to courses. Like that, we have multiple courses pages. So if you want to take images, right, so you can just take these images instead of searching online. You can take the project images from here, right click and copy image address. You can use the same images if you want to play around and like create the same kind of like a project. Okay, so this is an exercise project. It's not a difficult project. If you are feeling stuck, you can go through the recording, or you can like ask us in uh, through this Google form. Okay, so I'll share. We will be sharing the slides and the recordings with you, so you can try out first this sample project, and then like you can try out this exercise project. Okay, so yeah, pretty much that is it with respect to HTML tags which we want to cover, right, for today's class. So before dropping off, is there any questions you guys have? I can answer. If anyone leaves class for one day, will they get certificate? Yeah, we will see. Basically, like if you complete at least few projects, and if you are showing us few projects, then we will be like providing the certificates. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So So this is about like the basic HTML tags. Like if you guys have some time, like you can. Okay, what is the purpose of div? Okay, so this is another question. Finish Babu. He has asked what is the purpose of div. Okay, so div is basically like a container, right? So how you can say is, so we have a web page. We have a web page, and within that web page, we want to organize multiple parts of the web page at different parts. So if you want to organize some things, you can use something called as like a div container. So if you see my background, right, you have lot of this is a fake background, basically, not my real background. So you have lot of books organized at different cupboards. So this is a way of organizing. You can keep the entire all the books in a single cupboard, or it's easier to organize. Like I use some books like frequently, some books I use it less. Okay, so I can keep these two different sets of books at different cupboards. Okay, so div is like a cupboard which I can use to keep a set of elements inside it. Okay, so I can create one div and put a set of elements inside it, and I can create another div and put another set of elements inside this. It's a way of organizing web pages. Like how we use cupboards to organize books, divs are used to organize the HTML elements. Any other question you guys have? Okay. Is there any chance of placements if we do the assessments in proper way? uh, Placements as in like for HTML, CSS, you have to know some framework, right? So um, you have to know something like JavaScript or like some programming language, JavaScript or Python, and like some frameworks regarding that. Uh, let's say you want to take web development route, you can learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And with JavaScript, there are like frameworks like front-end framework, React, which is very popular, and backend we can use Node.js and Express. So these frameworks, you have to know JavaScript and like some frameworks to get some web development roles. Okay, if you are a computer science student, obviously you will be taught Java. Java is used in backend like in Spring Boot. Okay, so that is one area where you can find placements. Or if you want to go into machine learning, you can learn Python and like do machine learning. Python also has some framework, backend framework called Django. You can get into web development with Python also. Some companies use Django and Flask frameworks where you can get jobs there. Yeah, but these are the basics, right? So once you start doing things like uh, you will know more about them, and then like you will make yourself valuable to get placed. What if we know JS, we will be getting any placement mentorships? Any placement mentorships? I didn't understand your question. So basically, just pure JavaScript is like not enough, right? So you have to obviously know JavaScript and some framework, like you can learn React. There are a lot of front-end jobs in React. So yeah, so if you know JS, like you have to know a framework also, right? So it's easier to get a job with respect to that framework. If you're doing front end, you can do React, and back end, you can do Express. Reference from our side. Mm. See, we have a separate thing for that. So that is a long process, and lot of commitment from students is there. Like we have a 10-month thing where like we train the students in full stack. Okay, and we help them like refine their resumes, and like we help them attend mock interviews. We give mock interviews, then we refer from our side. Okay, it's a long and a tedious process. Okay, so this whatever we are teaching, right? So most of the things which we are trying to teach, and also in future we are trying to cover a lot of things. So those things we can like cover. Placement assistant requires a lot of effort from both the sides. Okay, so Hemant, if you are in final year, we can like talk separately, like, right? So if you are trying for placements and all, we can talk separately on how to go about placements. But reference from our side requires a lot of effort. Like we have some network companies which we can refer, but the thing is we want to make sure like you guys are like really good in like what you are trying to do. Let's say you are knowing some framework, we want to make sure that you are really good in that. We'll conduct some mock interviews, and we'll make sure that, okay, if we refer someone to our network companies, like they will definitely take, right? So we want to refer candidates so that we also maintain good relationship with our companies. So that requires a lot of effort. But learning, right, first you want to learn, like you can learn all these things. Like we will try to cover like most of the topics here with these classes, right? So learning can be done, but placement is like another a big step and like a tedious process which requires a lot of effort. If you're a college student, then like you would also have some college placements, if I'm not wrong. Okay, so that what we can do is we can like refine your resume, and like if we will have better chances of you to get placed within your college. So we have done for a lot of students also for that. Like uh, we don't refer from our side, but we make sure like their resume and mock interviews are done, so whenever their college placements comes, so they can like track that. So a lot of guys like that also have gotten placed from our side. Does that answer your question, Hemant? Okay, any other questions? Okay, so if there are no more questions, then I think we can wrap up. Is there any suggestions or any feedback in the class, like anything which was not understood, which was not clearly taught, or like any feedback you guys want to give? You can also post it in the Q&A, just so that like next class I'll try to improve. We'll try to improve on like how we are doing things. How we can submit assignments. So right now you can do the assignments, like probably we can have some Google form for that to submit assignments. But since it's like a 4 5 days course, uh, since it's a 4 5 days course, like you can just complete your assignments. Okay. In the future batches, we will see like how to submit the assignments and all. But right now, like if you are able to complete this, then that is good enough from your side. We'll also show you how to deploy these assignments to upload these assignments to GitHub, so that like you have a profile, and you can show off your assignments to your potential recruiters. Okay. So right now, like we don't have an way to submit assignments, but you can complete it on your own. If you have doubts, you can ask through that Google form. Okay. So just a quick demo on like how the Google form works, right? So what you can do is you can come to this slide, open this Google form. So this is the support form. Okay. So you can give your name, and you can post your question here. And like if you have tried Googling, like what all things you tried, okay, that if you can give some little bit uh, things of what all things you have tried, right? So this is kind of like learning. Trying to Google stuff is like part of learning. So you can provide your question and what all things you have tried. If you have any error screenshot of your code or like your browser, you can add file, you can upload the file here, and once you click on submit, we will resolve your bugs. Either we will chat or like we will get on a call, a one-on-one call like this, and we will resolve your bugs. Okay, so in that way, like you won't have any problem completing the assignments. Okay, if you're getting stuck anywhere, please use this link to like give the like raise doubts. Okay. Mm. Okay, thank you. I'm already 2023 passed out. Okay, in civil stream, I know some languages like core Java, HTML, CSS, manual texting. Okay. With respect to placements, right? So a lot of things have to be discussed there. So probably what we can do is you can like DM us in that other number, like whichever we used to post, or any of the admin, you can DM them. Okay, so they will help you. They will provide you more information in like placements. Okay. Any other questions or any other feedback? Cool. Hope you guys enjoyed the session. Okay, so we can again continue from tomorrow. Try to complete these projects, and if you have any doubts, please ask us in that support Google form. Okay, we'll get back to you and resolve it. Okay, so mostly we'll be like connecting tomorrow again. We'll continue, and yeah, pretty much that is it. Thank you so much, guys, for joining with us today. It was a good session. I enjoyed the session. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for joining.